Aloha, and welcome back to the Hawaiian Sanctuary with David Bruce Leonard, Medicinal Plants in Hawaii, Part 3, Plant Walk.
I do 3 weeks on, 1 week off with everything, right? And that's a really good idea for anything. So just anything is toxic if you dosify it, right?
It's Hila Hila?
Hila Hila is the Hawaiian name, and the Latin name is Mimosa pudica, M-I-M-O-S-A P-U-D-I-C-A. Now we're going to do an herb walk. I'm going to be throwing out all these names and stuff. The best thing to do for you is to ask me what the Latin name is, write it down, I'll spell it for you, and then go Google Images it. Or buy my book, which is a better idea. Google Images is the second down on the list there, okay? Now a lot of these look alike and it'll make you crazy, okay? But this plant here is called Crassocephalum. Crassocephalum, I don't know any Hawaiian names for this, but this is edible, but it definitely has chronic toxicity. Yeah, you want to use the younger leaves, and I tend to cook it.
So you like steam it?
I'll steam it, I'll stir fry it. Baihua shishasao, which means white snake grass something or other.
Can you spell the second name of the heading?
H-E-D-Y-O-T-I-S, and then diffusa is D-I-F-F-U-S-A. I think that's the name. But this is antiviral. This was used in HIV a lot in China, like Biddens. This is used for sore throats. You boil it up and make it as a tea. Basically, everything I'm talking about, you'll make as a tea unless I specify otherwise. Nutgrass, yeah. It's Kalinga, K-Y-L-L-I-N-G-A. And that is used as for joint pain all over Polynesia. You can boil it up. It's very safe. The whole plant is safe. It's a monocot. Most monocots are safe. Monocots are like grasses. Most grasses are non-toxic. Joint pain, inflammation, menstrual cramps. Pretty much it. It's called the root beer plant. It's called Caligula. I've used this for years because it has that root beer smell. And that root beer smell, there's a chemical called safrole, which has chronic toxicity.
That related to the sassafras family?
Yeah, it's in sassafras and sarsaparilla also. Nutmeg. Is it a nutmeg too? Yeah, interesting. And safrole, and I didn't use this, and since I've done some reading and research and talked to people, safrole is not terribly toxic. Grandma is probably not going to keel over with liver failure from her sassafras tea, okay? But there is chronic toxicity. Again, it's always dosage. So I'm not so leery about this anymore. There is a relative of this plant that called Yuanja, which is Polygala, P-O-L-Y-G-A-L-A. I can't remember the species of this, but there's another polygala that I use in the office called Yuanja, which is used to create wisdom. The ja is the wisdom of the kidneys, and so for people that have a hard time planning far ahead in their lives or gathering, or if they keep making the same mistakes over and over again over like 7 to 8 years, if you crack this, you can smell. That root smells like root beer. That is used for liver cancer in China.
Oh, okay.
That is the only use I know of that, which is
okay.
ironic because I was concerned about it for liver. But the reason I actually brought that plant up at all is because you guys have seen this, right? This is the real kava and the false kava. I want you to look at the veination here. See the midrib here? Everybody see that? It's straight, and then the veins come off of the midrib. That's called pinnate veination. Okay? This is false kava. This is not kava. It's the same genus as kava. This is Piper auretum, P-I-P-E-R-A-U-R-I-T-U-M. This actually is true kava. See the veination there? See how all the veins come to the center? That's called palmate veination. And that that's one way of telling these plants apart. Plus the leaves in this are obviously bigger. When you compare them side to side, they look kind of different. But when they're growing in the wild, they look very similar. But if you rub the false kava, it smells like root beer. Crush that with your fingers and pass it around. And this one will not. This is true kava. So basically, if the plant you have crushed smells like root beer, it's not kava. Kava is the best antispasmodic that I know of. For muscles, yeah, for muscle spasms. When they had a headache, but I don't know if that's true. It's the only thing I remember about that. But I know it's medicinal, and if you Google Piper auritum, and then medicine, the word medicine, you should get information on that. This is, some people believe this might be a native. Somebody had asked about natives. This is called sorrel, S-O-R-R-E-L. The Latin name is oxalis, O-X-A-L-I-S. And there's one with a yellow flower and one with a purple flower. And the yellow flowered one may be native. Yeah, you can see that little yellow flower there. This tastes sour. If you take a nibble on that, you'll taste that it's sour.
I know.
People call it clover, but it's not a clover. It just happens to look like clover. And this is used as a really mild sedative in China. Again, some people put this in their salads, and you can do that a little bit, but you don't want to put too much in your salad because it is hard on your kidneys. There's oxalates in there. Yeah, there's oxalates in there, yeah. But if you boil it, the oxalates are fine. So you can make it, it's a really nice tea, actually. This is Phyllanthus. I don't use this, but this is used in Ayurveda for kidney and bladder problems. I don't know which part is used, but you can look it up. It's Phyllanthus. And it's like Neuria or something. This is bitter melon. You've seen those really ugly orange fruits. They explode with a red in them. That fruit is one of the best things to stabilize blood sugar. That's one of the best things for blood sugar, boiled up or made into food. And there's a Filipino version of that also. A Filipino woman also told me that she uses that for menstrual cramps. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know it's used for blood sugar. Let's keep meandering.
The white flowered one.
This is called Maili hohono. The genus is Ageratum. A-G-E-R-A-T-U-M. The epithet for that is Conyzoides. C-O-N-Y-Z-O-I-D-E-S. And if you rub this, it has a very specific smell. You rub that leaf, and some of those are purple, and they're not as strong. I always go for the ones that smell really strong when I use that as medicine.
The white flowers are stronger?
I find the white flowers generally are stronger.
It's interesting. The leaves are smaller generally of the white
That's true.
flowers.
That's true. I think that the purple one was an ornamental, and they'll also crossbreed. Now, there is something in this called PAs, which are something that have chronic toxicity that's not removed by boiling. So I wouldn't give this to anybody who is pregnant, and I wouldn't give it to anybody who is liver impaired. But it's fine for a lung infection for a week or two. And it's one of the best herbs for hemorrhoids. What you do is you gather up a big bundle of it, throw it in a pot of water, and you fill it up, and then you bring the water to a boil, and then you take the pot of boiling tea, and you put the pot inside the toilet, right? And then you have a seat, not too close, right? And it works really well. And it's some kind of astringent, and the hemorrhoids, Uncle Bill used to say, the uhu go home. They go right back up.
This is all in your book, right?
For coughing.
It's also used for lung infections, yep. And it's also used for diabetes and hypertension also. This plant here is called lawae. And I actually made some of this for you guys to taste, but we probably won't get to it because I didn't make enough. But you can taste it yourself. You guys have seen this around, I'm sure. There's a bunch of different genera for this. So the Latin names, one of the Latin names is Phymatorus or something.
That thing up there? That thing with the red there.
And the Hawaiian name is?
Lauae. L-A-U-A Okina E, apostrophe E. So when you're taking this as a tea, you want to take the ones without this. These are called sori, spores, right? You want to take the ones without the sori. See that? See the little dots? So you want to pick the ones without the dots. And what I'll do is I will gather this. Like this one has no dots on it. I'll pull it up like this. That. And I took 3 or 4 bundles of this and just put it in boiling water. Really nice at the end of the day. And the Hawaiians have like a cluster of things they use for what's called Syndrome X, which is high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. So, and this is one of the herbs they use for Syndrome X. And they also use it in hula. It smells kind of good. That's the tea plant. This is the most sacred Hawaiian plant. This is actually used in China for threatened miscarriage. When women, apparently the root is used. I've never used it for that, but the root is used when women get what they call slippery fetus. And it's also very cooling, and the whole plant, I mean, they make moonshine out of it, okolehau, which is a type of Hawaiian moonshine out of it. The Hawaiians would use the flowers, when it flowers, for asthma. I've never used it for that either. Now in Hawaii, those green ones are sacred, but in other parts in Polynesia, you know, the red ones and the purple ones are sacred, so it's different. Like Papa Ka'alakea would always have tea leaves with him whenever he would do blessings. Let's head back into the main field there. Comfrey, believe it or not, it's a really close relative, but Rico Check in Oregon has the real comfrey that he sells out of Horizon Herbs, but this is close enough to do the job. This is comfrey leaf. The genus is SYMPH. Symphytum, however you want to spell symphytum, SYMPHTUM or something. I can't remember the epithet of that, but this is this has those same alkaloids that I mentioned before that have chronic toxicity. They're called pyrrolizidine alkaloids. Herbalists call them PAs. You'll hear somebody say that has PAs in it. And 2 families have PAs. The Asteraceae family, which is the daisy family that I know of, and this family, which is the borage family. But again, toxicity is the same as dosage. Topically or internally, but again, there is chronic toxicity. Topically, though, you can...
How would you use it topically?
You take the root. That's a good question. The question is how to use it topically. You mash up the root, and it works really well on... you can put a carrier with it. The Hawaiians would use urine or Hawaiian salt. You can use alcohol or whatever you happen to use. Sometimes you can use wandering Jew as a carrier. You know, that slimy grass. You can mash that up and stuff. Some kind of liquid. Some people use DMSO. I've never used it for that.
Vinegar?
You could use vinegar, yeah. And you mash up the root and then just use it as a poultice.
So the leaf and the root you can use.
The root is stronger.
The root is stronger.
Yeah, I would use the leaf for like lung stuff, and internally in the root. You could use the root internally, but the root. This is actually one of the main liver protective herbs in Ayurveda, and this is called Hanlian Sao in Chinese. HANLIANCAO. And the genus is Eclipta. ECLIPTA. I use this all the time in the clinic. I buy it from China, but this one, if I use it fresh, gives me a tummy ache. So I'm not totally clear on why that is. So I can't actually recommend that you use this unless you get it from a Chinese herbalist. But I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know if it has to be dried, if there's something about it when it's fresh that causes stomach pain, but it's only after 2 cups. But
So just dry it and then put boiling water over
I've
it?
never tried drying it.